to be
You
daddy.
don't get to say where is my brain. This is a smut podcast.
True.
Do you know where we are?
I was trying to figure out where you went.
Where are you?
Hey everybody, this is Kat,
And this is Rachel.
and you're listening to the Smut Peddlers podcast, a show for people who love books, especially when there's smut. We discuss our likes, our dislikes, and share all our favorite moments with you.
Today we're talking about Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. So grab your favorite beverage and get ready to burn with us. We are at part 8 of our tandem read now, still going through Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. We've been reading the whole series through the romantic order. Today we are covering just Empire of Storms chapters 42 to 51.
A little recap from our last episode. Elide and Lorcan are still with their troupe, but their troupe just got attacked by Ilken after this attack. Because the Ilken were looking for Elide specifically, Lorcan now knows that Elide is Elide, in fact, and not Marion. So he has a little bit more information about her. Rowan and Aelin have finally done it. Woo!
Yeah!
So, with that, in most Fae things, they are now marked with each other's scent, which is such a lovely thing, you know? Our dream team is kind of on the move. They got to meet Elena, which is so fun. Aelin has already met her.
Dorian meeting Elena is still one of my favorite things.
Dorian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dorian, of course, bows at her, and everyone else, and then, of course, Aelin is like, get on with it, please.
Let's
have
go.
shit
Chop,
to
chop.
do. She, of course, gave us very little information, as she usually does. She talks in riddles, and it's so wonderful and great, and couldn't just say, like, hey, you need to go here and do this, this, and that. So, you know, as little information as usual. Manon and Abraxos have made it to our dream team. Last we saw, Manon was plummeting off of Abraxos into the water. But Abraxos took her to the safe place, which we're very excited about. I love Abraxos so much. Oh.
Surprise, guys. Manon's okay.
Woo!
After 4 episodes of unknown...
No information at all.
Just complete... Well, you know, she's not dead, but she's not looking good for 4 episodes.
She's still not
fine.
dead, but she's still also not looking good. But she's with people who can do something about it.
She's with the people who can actually make some progress. So that's basically right where we start off. It's Manon waking up on the ship. She's changed to the bed, which is warranted. Also, like, one of her first thoughts is, where's Abraxos? Which, of
My
course,
heart.
so good. But she wakes up and is, like, in a ton of pain, doesn't know what's going on, and only really cares, like, where's Abraxos? How did I get here?
Of course, Aelin has a nice little response. Aelin is there waiting when Manon wakes up. As she does, she also lets Manon know that it looks like you owe me another life debt, because I saved your life and healed you. Even though she's all chained up right now. She is kind of a prisoner to them at the moment. But I think we love Abraxos and how fussy he is. Aelin, I think, also loves Abraxos and how fussy he is, because she says, your fussy nursemaid of a wyvern is fine, by the way. I don't know how you wound up with a sweet thing like that for a mount, but he's content to sprawl in the sun on the foredeck. Can't say it makes the sailors particularly happy, especially cleaning up after him. So Abraxos is just living his best cat life in the sun on the top deck, which is just the best picture.
She also, the other comment she makes that I found funny is that you probably shouldn't lie to anyone for the foreseeable future, because we found iron in your, stomach, and we couldn't get all of it out in healing you. So if you lie, it's going to be particularly painful, which I also thought was hilarious, because she's about to get interrogated by all of them, basically.
Yes.
One of the people that does the interrogating is Dorian. He checks in on her pretty frequently, which is great. And they're very, I don't know, like aggressively flirty.
Yeah, they are very
Comments to each
aggressive
other?
towards each other, but it's also flirting at the same
Yeah.
time where you're like, huh? What's happening?
We're very confused by the vibe. But I just find their interactions fantastic. He was very stressed out. He jumps in after her, which is fantastic. Doesn't tell her that.
Yeah.
That he's the one that jumps into the water.
We only learn it because he thinks about how he saved her from the water.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be Lysandra because she was already kind of patrolling.
She helps, like, Dorian's the one that jumps in after her, and then Lysandra jumps in next, and then Dorian is able to, like, get Manon on top of Lysandra. I think she had shifted into a sea wyvern again.
Probably.
And then able to get her back to the ship. But Dorian is the first to, like, act or do anything. And he, knowing that Abraxos is okay, the only other thing that's on her mind is where are the 13? And she makes a deal with Dorian in, like, their first conversation that they have, that if you find out what happened to my 13, that she'll basically be like, I'm at your command. Like, I will do what you ask of me if you find out if they're alive.
Mm-hmm. She does also ask about Elide, which I thought was fantastic because, of course, we get Elide's point of view for, like, so long of, like, how she feels like no one gives a shit about her and everyone leaves, which, like, I understand where those dark thoughts come from given her upbringing, but, like, to have Manon be like, and Elide, like, you need to tell Aelin that Elide Lorcan is alive and looking for her. Like, you need her because, of course, Aelin's gonna know who she is because they grew up together or were royals together.
Also, she basically, like, kind of passes out after that and, like, sleeps, and she sleeps and sleeps and sleeps, and then the line goes, the door banged open at one point, and she had the vague recollection of the Queen of Terrasin, then her general prince demanding answers about something, Elide perhaps. But she laid there, half awake, unwilling to think or speak. And I just love that, like, Dorian leaves and then tells her, and she just comes and, like, kicks the door down. I was like, where the fuck is Elide? What do you mean?
What are you talking about? She's alive. Who is she? How do you know her? Why do you, like, what's going on? Why do you know Elide?
Aelin cares so much.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. What gets me a lot, so a lot of this time when Manon is kind of in and out of consciousness, she's sleeping, she's healing, like, obviously she had her mother or her grandmother pretty much ripped her intestines out. She always has these, like, she flashes back to all of the, like, things that she's done, and this plays very heavily, like, all of her internal, like, dreams that she's having while she's sleeping of, like, abandoning Elide in the woods, or seeing her 13, like, being attacked, or her taking the last Kraken, like, witch. Then she, like, has the recollection of her grandmother telling her that she's the queen of the Kraken. Yeah. Like, all of these things, like, play over and over in her head. And it gives you this idea, like, from the very beginning, Manon's heart was, like, softening a little bit at a time. And now I feel like she is very much falling into this, like, I am the last queen, like, of the Krakens. Like, I have to do some good. Like, I have to do something. And I'm just like, yes, Manon is on her, like,
I think she's in that
arc.
Like, beginning stages of, like, depression where you're like, or not, maybe it's not necessarily, she just, like, she was so close to death that I think she started genuinely, like, looking back at, like, okay, I'm not a Blackbeak anymore. I lost my family. My 13 might just be scattered to the wind or dead. Mm-hmm. My entire life up until this point was basically a lie, and I was trained to be a weapon against the people who my parents...
My actual family?
Like, yeah, against my actual family and the people that, like, my parents wanted me to help heal. And now she's pissed. She's, like, real pissed. And I feel it's just, like, she's going through all of these mental like wars and replaying her whole life and just is like, okay, well, fuck it. I'm just gonna do whatever I want now.
She also has those like you said, like she's in the throes of like this identity crisis and slight depression where she's like, I am nobody, I am nothing, which is like Selena had very similar thoughts prior to her like becoming Aelin, like really fully going into her Aelin state. It feels very reminiscent of that. I feel like all of these characters always have this like slight villain era. Like Aelin's villain era was definitely her as an assassin, as Selena. Mm-hmm. Like that was her little arc. And then she has this like breaking point, and then she becomes like this massive being. Manon has a little bit more of a villain arc because of who she was and how she was brought up. And then she has this little break, and now she's just gonna go, and I'm so excited. And of course, we found out last episode, or at least we think last episode, we were given the lore dump of iron and fire together make this like silver, which is in our minds Aelin and Manon.
It took me way too long. I'm still so mad about so mad.
To be fair,
I've read too much of this series already.
You haven't had me to talk.
It is very different. It is very different to like go through these books. Because the first time I read them, we only had one person there was only one person when I read these that had already read them. And I was reading with another friend of ours, but I was reading like a little bit faster than she was. So especially when I got to like this book and even the next book, like I was reading faster than they were. The only person that was in our group that had already read them was Kismet. So like, and I didn't start sending her videos. I have so many videos of myself reading the last book, which I will give to Flip at some point, and I will let him share, even though I look like shit. I am like in the throes, face is so red from like crying and panicking and stressing about all of the shit that's going on. But like that's it. That's all I had, and it was mostly just like me sending it, and then like she hadn't read it in like 6 months, or like a year, so it wasn't really like the same as this. Yeah, where we sit there and we're like, maybe it's this. But I do remember we did the same shit for Fourth Wing, or not for Fourth Wing, but for Iron Flame, and we kept going through like all of the chapters, and we're like, hold on a second, is it this? And then you'd like talk back and forth about it. So yeah, be like talking about it out loud of like iron, fight, fuck, shit. Wait.
As you were saying it, my brain was like,
no, it's
wait a minute. And then you also were clicking at the same time. Just like,
I cannot wait. We haven't seen yet. We usually don't see the episode that got like edited together. Like we don't rewatch them. Like our editor will do it and then we see them. So we still haven't, recording this now, we still haven't seen the edit of the episode that we last recorded. I cannot wait. I have been thinking about it all fucking week about the fact that I'm going to get to rewatch that moment where we're both like, oh, fuck. We're so dumb. Shit. Oh my god. It's going to be so great.
So, recap, Manon is alive. She's weller than she was. She's still healing.
They are confident that she will be fine. She's not super well right now, but they're confident she's going to pull through.
The fact that she keeps sleeping and like the fact that Abraxos isn't like storming the castle, she's clearly going to be fine. Like they're not going to hurt her. He's like, they're giving me food. I'm going to hang out here. He is truly a cat in a wyvern body.
I love it. We don't get a lot of information or like we don't get any scenes of like Abraxos hanging out with them on the deck while she's sleeping, but all I imagine is like Aelin just being able to like walk up to Abraxos and like pet him and stuff because Abraxos is just so chill and trusts all of them. Ooh.
So good.
And if not her, Dorian.
Oh yeah.
I bet you $1 million
Or Dorian just like sits next to him,
Dorian's just chilling next to him. He's like, "Hey bud, what's up?"
like venting about Manon, and Abraxos like,
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
I was like, "Bro, you think you've had it hard? I've been with her this whole time." Okay?
Ugh.
It's been months.
So we pivot a little bit back to Lorcan and Elide. And now tension's pretty high. So the whole troop was attacked. Lorcan now knows Elide is Elide.
Oops.
He's pissed. Elide is also pissed at Lorcan because he snapped at her for not telling him the truth. And she was like, bitch, why would I? You give me no reasons to tell you the truth.
Pot,
Fair.
kettle, sir.
Very fair. They're traveling. So they're like on the move. They're trying to like Nick and Umbriel, who are in their like troop. Obviously, they kind of fought next to Lorcan, and so they know he's a little bit more than he says, and Elide is probably too. They arrive at another small town, and unfortunately, shit hits the fan when they get to this town. Elide, her goal is to get more information. She still is like, I'm going to Terracin. I'm doing what I need to do. I want to figure out more information about the queen. Lorcan, of course, notices, and he goes with her because he's the doting husband. He can't leave her. At least that's what he tells himself. To have an excuse to go with her.
Copium.
Yeah.
He is delusional.
Mm-hmm. I have a note that Lorcan also uses his power to brace her leg again, and he does it much more often in these next couple chapters, and every time he does it, I
it's like
highlight
every
it.
single chapter now.
Yeah.
Every single chapter that Lorcan and Elide, about Lorcan and Elide, there's like one line now in every chapter that's like, he braced her ankle at some point. And I was like, yeah, you sappy fuck. You're screwed. You're in now. I love this chapter. Elide, there's so many things that are happening in this chapter. Lorcan can't stay away from her. They go into the inn, and Elide's trying to like get more information. And she's being like sneaky and lying her ass off to get these people to trust. She's like, oh, what happened in Rifthold? That's crazy. Do you have any more information about that you could share with me? And Lorcan's like, God damn, she's just like playing these people like it's nothing. And is like, he's like genuinely impressed with the way that she's able to just squeeze the information out of these people with no issues whatsoever. But what ends up coming out of this is she learns, like, she's trying to get information about whether Aelin went north or not and get confirmation that she went north. And what she learns is what we also now know, which is that she didn't go north. She popped up in she was in Ilium, and then she was in Skull's Bay, and now she's saying somewhere else. And people were talking about, like, did she go? They don't know if she went to Wenlin or if she's going to Eelway or going somewhere else, but she's not north. And Elide is like crushed because she's been working so hard to get north, to get to her, and now she doesn't know which way to go. And she knows that like her protection under Lorcan is like coming to an end soon. And this makes me so sad. Lorcan is trying to help her this whole time because she's starting to panic. And he's like shit at comforting, but is trying to do it anyways. Of like,
he goes into this like
he tests
warrior
her a little
military type mentality,
right,
but also like leading her. Like he has picked up on the information and is like leading her to figure it out on her own.
He's trying to
which
figure
is, like,
out if she can pick up on what he figured out as well. I think he's trying to convince himself that she'll be fine on her own and that he can go. And like he's basically like, what did you figure out from the rumors? And she's like, I think she went to Eelway. I think she would have gone to Eelway. Mm-hmm. And Lorcan agrees, and she's like trying to figure out how far it is, and Lorcan's like, it's pretty far. And she doesn't know how to get there, and he says, I can get you a map. And she says it won't be any use because she can't read. And I think that's like Lorcan doesn't realize it, and I also completely forgot that she can't read because she was trapped in a tower, and her nursemaid didn't know how to read or write either. So, like, anything that she had learned before Vernon was being a sack of shit, she forgot and lost, and then never learned again. And
She
they've been
also was,
traveling,
like,
so, like, there's no
8.
reason that she would have needed it. Yeah.
She was like a child, a literal child when she was locked away. So like she could have learned up to a certain point, but like 8 years old, you learn to read a certain amount. You don't know how to read everything. Like you can't just figure it out on your own. At that point, you still need to like be taught things.
So right when she's like panicking about this and Lorcan's like trying to figure out is he gonna stay with her or not, he senses people coming, and they realize that Nick and Umbriel have probably sold them out, and that there's like soldiers after them to capture Lorcan and Elide. And
I think the
Lorcan
bigger
gives him-
likelihood of this one is that they told Molly and Molly sold them out. Is my personal opinion, but still.
I think that's true as well. But either way,
they got sold out.
Lorcan gives her the option of, all right, here's your two options you have to decide right now. I can kill these guys, and then we can go figure out if Nick and Umbriel were the people that sold us out, or we can just fuck off and go to the barge and leave. And Elide's like, go barge, now, go! And he, like, lifts her up over her shoulder and fucking, dips so fast.
What I loved about that moment, too, is, like, he kind of, like, says, are you okay with me picking you up and carrying you? Mm-hmm. And she kind of, like, just says, get on with it. Like, go. Like, do it.
Yep.
And he
do it.
Yeah. Which, like, the two of them have this, like, moment.
She's
like, should I just pick her up
it's like
and
a
go?
silent
like,
argument.
Go.
He says good, and then he's there. He, like, the way it's described is almost that he stands there and is like grips her hand to tug her forward, and then he's like, this is gonna take too long, and she just goes, just do it, and he just picks her up. Like, she can see him worrying about, like, she's not gonna be able to run fast enough to keep it. She's like, just fucking get on with it already, let's go. So funny. He's like, all right, fine, and then we run. They find a boat. They steal the boat. The guy that owns the boat is like, hey, that's my boat. And he goes, cool, you have two options. Another one with two options. You can either come with us or I will just take your boat. And that's it. And the guy basically says, like, you can't get back past the guards. You're not going to be able to get past the guards, like, without me. So they take him on the boat. And they, like, start sailing out to get out of the harbor, I guess.
Yeah, so it's similar to Skull's Bay. At least that's how it's described, as like there's this like channel they have to leave out of to get away from the place that they are. And that channel is guarded. And so they need someone on the inside who is used to going in and out to be like, I'm just going to do X, Y, or Z kind of thing. And then he agrees. And he said, either way, you're going to kill me. And Lorcan was like, Elide pretty much says, like, if you get us out of here, we won't. And so he agrees, and he says there's a bend right outside that you can drop me off at. And so Elide says, perfect, we'll do that.
Yeah, and basically promises, like, we won't hurt you if you can get us out.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And then Lorcan goes and tells her to go hide under a chair or a table.
Yeah, so, like, they're on a sleeping boat kind of thing. So it has this, like, you can go down a couple stairs and it probably has, like, a dining table kind of situation that turns into a bed, similar to, like, a camper is how I picture it. It's like a little 1 or 2 person sailboat type thing that they have enough room to, like, move around and sleep, but not like a large barge situation.
Yeah. So Lorcan comes back to get her and is like, okay, we're good. You can come out now. And she comes out and the guy's nowhere to be found. Lorcan goes, he swam back to shore. Without reading anything other than that. Without reading anything other than that, I was like, yeah, okay, sure, bud. No, he fucking didn't.
The way she describes it, too, is that he just, like, blurts it out at her.
Yeah.
She doesn't say anything.
How is he so fucking bad at lying? Like, I don't get that at all. I don't understand. It's probably just to her that, like, he feels so much guilt lying to her specifically that he's so fucking bad at it. But I still don't understand how he's so bad at lying. Because he's like, he like spits it out super awkwardly. Like, he swam to shore. It's fine. And then he can't fucking look at her in the eyes and, like, avoids looking at her and talking to her. And then is, like, messing with his fucking sleeves, which have shit on it because he just washed his hands. And I'm like,
so pretty much he slit the dude's throat and then tossed him
more
overboard.
Obvious, sir.
Yeah. And Elide can, like, of all the people to try to pull a fast one over, like, he should at this point realize that she picks up on every tiny little nuance. So he says that, and she goes, he might very well run to town and tell everyone. Lorcan is like, well, we'll deal with it. He said, turning away too fast. He avoided her eyes too fast. She took in the water, the stains now on the sleeves of his shirt, like he'd washed his hands quickly, sloppily. And you're like, oh God, what did he do? She glanced at the hatchet at his side. You killed him, didn't you? That was what the splash had been, a body being dumped over the side. Lorcan halted.
He's such a dumbass.
He just kind of is like, fuck.
I also don't... I don't totally understand.
I don't know why he didn't just tell her.
I also don't know why he didn't just drop him off.
I don't know.
Because, like, he says, like, oh, killing him is safer. I'm like, but they already know that you left by boat.
Yep, I don't know.
Like, they already know. Like, why bother? Like,
because
is it that much safer that they would know that they... I don't... Whatever. Sure. She's pissed. Because, you know. And in her anger, she gets so pissed off that it somehow, like, activates the word stone. Like, she's like, I don't know if it, like, senses her anger and, like, starts being like, oh shit, what the fuck's going on? And, like, wakes up. But he feels the power of that word stone, makes a little connection in his brain that he maybe has not felt a similar power at any point whatsoever from a certain locket that was given to him by Aelin. And, like, in the middle of their fight, just, like, light bulb, and then, like, runs to look at the locket, and she hears him, like, smashing shit. Smashing shit, and then getting really pissed off and coming back out. And then he tells her in his anger, hey, you know that fucking bitch that you're looking for, Selena Sardathian? Well, she's the same person as your queen. Also, she's an assassin. That person that you're looking for, your lovely queen that you think is so great and awesome, she's been an assassin for years while you were in a tower rotting away. She was hanging out with Arabin Hommel, living in luxury and killing people.
Yeah.
Elide is like, someone's throwing a temper tantrum. Her response to it is so chill. She's like, okay, you're projecting and need to calm down. I will make my own assumptions on my queen when I meet her, but thank you for your opinion and obvious bias in this situation.
The best part is that the only thing that she then turns back on him in this fight is that you knew and you lied to me. You knew this information. You didn't tell me. You lied to me. And he's like, she kills people. And she's like, and is that better than you? Like,
her whole this whole section that she says is fucking fantastic. She says, I was wrong. I said you and I were the same, that we had no family, no friends, but I have none because of land and circumstance separated me from them. You have none because no one can stomach being around you. She tried and succeeded. If the ire had rippled in his eyes was any indication, to look down at her nose at him, even with him towering over her. And you know what is the biggest lie you tell everyone, Lorcan? It's that you prefer it that way. But what I hear when you rant about my bitch queen, all I hear are words of someone who is deeply jealous and lonely and pathetic. All I hear are the words of someone who saw Aelin and Prince Rowan fall in love and resented them for their happiness because you are so unhappy. Fuck!
Hey.
I am going to Eelway. Take me ashore and I'll wash my hands of you as easily as you washed the blood of that man off yours. God damn. He has no response.
Well, he comes back and he goes, no. Like, I'm not letting you.
He has no response. He's like, no, I'm going to be a petulant child. He says, you're my wife as far as I'm concerned. And I'm like, okay, bud, you are. Yikes. Yikes.
He pretty much is like, it looks like you have a guide to Eelway because we both have shit to deal with in Eelway. Because he's pissed at Aelin.
Lorcan has found out that he doesn't have the word stone.
Yes.
He's specifically, the thing that, like, he says basically in his mind is he's like, how the fuck was I not smart enough to ask if the word stone was actually in the key? Because he had to make that deal of, like, he had to promise that the ring that they were trading it for would actually protect them from being controlled by the Vogue. And he never thought to be like, also, is yours real?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't. The best part is that
Oops.
It's not even the real amulet that he has either. Mm-mm. It's a fake.
It's the fake amulet, and there was just a Vogue ring in it.
Yeah. So, like, it had enough, like, feeling to it where he didn't really catch on until he actually became near another one that was real.
Yeah, that he, like, sensed that it wasn't the right one. Aelin also wrote a note, which she put in there, and it just says, here's hoping you discover more creative terms than bitch to call me when you find this. With all my love, AAG.
He'd kill her
She's
slowly,
such
creatively.
A bitch. Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah. All of Lorcan's anger, you get this, though, Lorcan is still not mad at Elide. Like, all of his anger in this is all directed at Aelin.
Yeah, because she got him good.
And he's now, like, trying to say, okay, I have to stay with her now because I'm mad at Aelin and I have to go get this thing.
I have to go find Aelin.
Mm-hmm.
He does have to go back because his plan was to go to Morath to get another word key. But he can't, I think it's like he can't get in without a word key, or
I don't know.
He doesn't want to go in without a word key without that extra power. That I think would be fair. Mm-hmm. But now he's like, fuck, I gotta turn back. It's not like he was making any progress to Morath anyways. He's going in the wrong direction to help Elide, who he can't stay away from.
Oh, first line of this chapter. The world began and ended in fire. Sick.
Hee hee. It's fine. It's just a dream, just a horrifying dream that Aelin is having. It's great.
Yes.
Aelin wakes up
on fire, literally. Yeah.
She wakes up. Rowan wakes her up because she's dreaming, and she has burned all of her clothes away during her dream. She, like, lights on fire, basically, is smoldering, and Rowan's kind of panicked. Aelin also gets a little concerned immediately that she's going to burn the whole ship down, which is also a concern that I have.
Mm-hmm. Ship is made of wood.
Is made of wood, in fact, made of wood. She gets woken up out of her dream, and Rowan is, like, in a panic. He helps her, like, get control of herself, and then immediately she has to help him get control of himself.
Yeah.
Because he's able to get her out of her panic and out of her dream and regain control. And then Rowan, like, starts going into panic mode.
He, like, disassociates immediately.
Yeah, like,
and she's like, hello?
He gets freaked out. He gets freaked out that, like, he's gonna lose her again. Like, his initial reaction is, like, make sure that she doesn't, turn into Deanna again or anything else like that happen.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he realizes she's safe, he just, like, shuts down. And Aelin has to, like, coax him back. And she does that by being her fantastic self and just be like, I'm fine. You saw to that. Now go get me some water. I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
And, like, he still doesn't really budge. And she says, if you don't start acting like a prince, you can sleep on the floor.
What I really like, and it always comes back to the things that like ground her so much when she's trying to like pull herself back to herself, is she does the line, "My name is Aelin Ash River Galathinius, and I will not be afraid." That is my favorite line. If anyone gets any type of like thing signifying this tattooed on their body, if it's not that line or fucking Abraxos, like, what are you doing? How? Just how? I would 100% get a hawk as my little.
You just get Rowan tattooed on
my book tattoo. I already have 2 other birds.
That would be cute.
What's another bird?
2 other birds. It's another bird. No one will know.
Literally no one.
I will know.
That's all that matters.
Everyone on this podcast, everyone who listens to this podcast will know.
Yeah, if I got like a little book or him and like a little flame. Oh, I just thought about.
You could just get him and Abraxos next to each other.
Flying?
You could get little Abraxos.
Get a flying wyvern with a fucking hawk under.
Look, here's the thing. Do you and I need another matching tattoo? No. Should we get one anyways? Yes. This one specifically? Absolutely.
What's terrible right now is I was getting tattoos consistently, like every 6 months for a while, and then we got ours, and I have not had one since. Which is the longest I've gone without getting ink put on my body.
I only have 2. And it's the first one that I got, my swirlies, and our tattoo. Mm-hmm. We have a matching suit chi. With our other friend Leah. It's so cute, fantastic, and it makes me happy. Yeah. I haven't gotten another one since. I think I will get a book tattoo probably eventually. I just don't know what I want. There's so many things.
I sent a couple like Instagram things that I thought were
I
really
also
cool
get
looking.
so fucking nervous that like it's gonna turn out like a Game of Thrones or gonna turn out like fucking
tampon
bigot lady sack of shit Harry Potter.
You can still love Harry Potter and like the world and all that and get something
I know,
that signifies
but it feels
them, but yeah.
It still does. It's not something that I would want tattooed on my body anymore. That's the thing. It's not necessarily like everyone can have their own reaction to like Harry Potter and you can still feel that nostalgia. I do still support that. Absolutely. Me personally, I would be upset that that is now tattooed on my body. Mm-hmm. I think that it would still just rub me the wrong way.
That's fair.
And I get nervous with that kind of stuff, which is why I'm like, I'm trying to think of something
anyway. So like,
and that's why I'm
Harry
not
Potter tattoo. If I was, I could see it. Like it's the same with Disney. Like I have Minnie and Mickey tattooed on me. Disney as a corporation, not the best.
Horrifically problematic.
Disney for me, like Disney for a lot of people was like a thing that they grew up with and like kept them safe in times that they maybe didn't feel the safest. So like that is my connection with it. For kids that grew up with Harry Potter, that Harry Potter was the thing that grounded them and kept them sane in maybe like a dark household or something. That's their connection is to Harry Potter. Their connection is not to J.K. Rowling at all.
True.
So I could see people having the same reaction to these types of books. Like connecting with the characters in like this series versus like even ACOTAR. Like ACOTAR was fantastic. If I were to get a tattoo of anything, and everyone is going to hate this, I would get something that was Nesta coded in some manner because I love her as a character and all of like the shit she went through and they all went through and how she coped, which isn't necessarily the way everyone agrees that she should have coped. But
true. Did you see my camera flash twice?
I did.
I noticed what it was.
What was it? Oh.
Why? For what reason? Huh?
Is it
something
Bluetooth
with the Bluetooth?
to the cable?
No, it is. Yeah. But like I don't. But like the Bluetooth isn't what's the connection to the camera. Oh. It's because it's plugged in. But I don't know why. It must just be like the operating power of my phone itself is like, I have to take a second to connect to your headphones that you just open and close. I fidgeted with it, and I noticed it did it twice, and I was like, what the fuck? Why? Why
Just put
are
them
you doing
out of
that?
reach.
I did. I moved them, and I noticed it, and I was like, why? What? Huh? Whatever. Yeah.
Aelin has to bring Rowan down. That's what we were kind of talking about before
Yeah.
we derailed into
I don't know if we need to put any of that in, but
whatever.
We'll see.
So, of course, Rowan also panics. Like we were saying, Rowan has this like immediate flashback thinking that Deanna or something else has taken over Aelin's body again. And, you know, rightfully so. He's freaked out a bit.
Goes full female.
Mm-hmm. I do like she just yells at him, calm down now. Which is like, don't ever tell someone to calm down where they're freaking out. It doesn't work. It also doesn't work on him. Doesn't work on anybody.
I think when she tries to do it, though, she tries to do it as, like, she is compelling him to do so. Yeah. And then she changes tack and is like, I'm gonna command him to go get, like, she tells him to go get her water. And even that is, like, he goes and does it, but still is, like, not there. It takes him a second to, like, make it back. And she's like, what happened? He's like, that was me losing control. Because I got real freaked out that, you know, you were going to be taken from me again.
Yeah.
Before you call me a territorial fey bastard, allow me to apologize and explain that it is very difficult. Rowan, he stilled. You're not human. I do not expect you to be. Just, yeah.
Oh, so good.
They have this conversation because he's like being, in my opinion, weirdly self-conscious about what he has to offer her. I think it's so sweet. He has done so much to help her and like get her to this point. And he's been like very self-conscious about that's it. That's all he had to offer. And now he has nothing for her. And that like she should be considering marriage as an option. And he's like, nah, I'm good. She doesn't want that. But the way that she says it is like, even if that were a thing that I was going to explore, we don't have the time. Like, it would take ages for contracts to go through and like a decision to be made and offers to go back and forth. And then even after that, she says, what I don't need is a husband who will try to get into a pissing contest with me, or who I'll have to consider oh my God, I can't read today. Or who I'll have to cloister somewhere for his own safety, or who will hide in a corner when I wake up with flames all around me. This, Rowan, this is all I need. Just this.
I think it's great. It really does play on that, like, she doesn't deny his insecurities, like, because he knows how a royal court is typically structured. Yeah. She also knows how a royal court is typically structured, and women get married off into other, like, things for partnership and, like, for gaining alliances and all this other bullshit, which we don't agree with. He also is like, if you have to do it, I'll have to let you. And she's like, no. I am in control of this situation. At no point in time is a man ever going to tell me what to do, sir, and you know this. Like, at no point am I going to marry someone who's going to want to try to tell me how to act. Can't happen. Arabin barely was able to get her to act in any way, and he was like, I think, of all the men in her life, the only one that kind of had control over her a little.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like barely control over her.
They just have such a sweet conversation about, like, they talk about what it could be like in the future of, like, maybe they'll have time to rest. And they talk about, like, we'll have to figure out how to relax and learn that together. And he says that even if they never get that, like, he's still they're happy to do have the complicated life, but by each other's side. Like, that's so cute. And that they'll always find their way back to each other.
So
we
good.
go from their super sweet conversation to Manon. We go back
is
to
awake.
Manon.
She senses something's off. Rowan
Who
then
could it
also
be?
appears, and he senses something's off. So this leads up to all of the shit that goes down. And I read this as Manon and Dorian sensed what was coming before everyone else somehow.
Yeah.
So Manon wakes up to like this weird feeling. At first, you kind of read it of like, oh, Dorian is about to walk into her room and that's what she's sensing. But then you get to Dorian's point of view and he's like, he sensed a ripple of power, which was why he went to Manon, because he also felt something was off. And then they just ignore it completely and start shamelessly flirting with each other.
Again.
And you're like, I was like, wait. What was the power? The ripple thing that you both just sensed and now are just completely ignoring. What's happening? What bad is coming? We find out next chapter. But I was like, please, what's happening?
Yeah, they both are like, was that you, the ripple of power? And they're like, no, was it you? They were like, oh, that's weird. And then they talk about like, well, witches don't actually have magic like that. Like,
yeah,
she tells him like, it couldn't have been me because that's not how our magic works. And she does tell him that there's like, the only way that they use their magic in that way is called a yielding, which is basically like a witch will like basically release all of her power like detonating a bomb.
Yeah, they don't have control. The way it's described is
Yeah.
they don't have control over how they release. So like Aelin and Rowan and Dorian and everyone can kind of like pull power up and then release a portion of it. Witches don't have that ability. So when
It's
they
all or
release
nothing.
power, it's everything just comes out. And then it pretty
And
much they
it's-
like implode on themselves.
Yeah, and they die. Like it'll be their
Yeah.
last thing that they do. And she says that the witches in like her covens, the more powerful covens, don't do it because it's like it's almost like a sign of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't ever have to be at a point where you would need to perform a wielding. But the lower level covens will do it because they see it as like an honor to give this great sacrifice for the rest of your coven.
Yeah. He asks if the Iron Teeth would use it against them.
Yeah.
And that's really what spurs that conversation of like, if you're facing lower level covens, yes, but the older ones are too arrogant to do so.
Mm-hmm. They're too skilled to choose the yielding instead of fighting their way out.
He immediately backtracks and is like, that's murder. She's like, war is murder, Princeling.
War is sanctioned murder, which
yeah.
is such a good line.
No matter what side you're on. Yeah.
Ugh. Goddamn, Sarah. Well done.
She asked him if he ever killed a man. And of course, he flashes back to his father because technically, we as the readers know, Dorian is the one that killed his father, not Aelin, even though she took the blunt of that as being the story that was told. She pretty much, she didn't lie and say she killed him, but like alluded to it when she like preached to everyone because she wanted them all to trust Dorian, which is fair. He thinks of that. Manon kind of picks up on it and like picks up on the like him processing, like having the Vogue inside him and all of this other stuff. And she tells him, remember what they made you do when you face them again. Like, they are not innocents. They are just pure evil and they were doing terrible things to you specifically. Like, do not feel bad when you go to kill them. Because, like, he obviously has regret over killing his father. Even though, at that point, his father was also begging to die. Because he was like, I've been taken over by a Vogue for the last, like, 24 years. Like, please, for the love of God, I don't want to do it anymore.
He, like, turns to go and she like argues for like more freedom for herself. She's like, can you loosen the chains? Like, I want to go up on the deck and like just feel the wind on my face. And he's like, you've got a window, go stand in front of it. And they like, again, they can't stop flirting with each other. Like, it's so aggressive. And the flirting turns very interesting.
The best part is that usually it's Dorian that starts it. In this scenario,
It's her.
She started it. Where I was just like, Manon, please.
If I had been asleep, would you have lingered to stare at me for a while? If you plan to sneak in here in the darkest hours of the night, you should at least have the decency to ensure I get something out of it. Oh my god, ma'am! Dear Lord, what are we doing? Also, his response, as tempting as seeing you naked and chained might be. What the fuck?
Dorian,
I don't think
unlocked?
you'd... so for real. I don't think you'd enjoy the loss of control. Like, where he... They don't say it in this chapter, but it's in like a chapter that's a little bit from now, but it clicks more after this conversation of like, he is not interested in human women anymore. He is like, he's like, they're too breakable or something like that. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, that hurts. It's so sad, but I think that is one of the reasons why, like, she's fucking, like, chained up to a wall, and she's still, like, as sassy as she could ever be. And I think that's one of the, like, the strength of her is what he's so attracted to, because he's like, this is fine. She's not going anywhere. She's basically an immortal being. I won't get hurt by that.
Mm-hmm.
She'll hurt me, but I'll still be alive, so that's a fucking positive on my previous relationships.
They, of course, talk about, like, the men or, like, women they've been with, and she smirks that she knows enough to make a mortal princeling beg, and he responds, like, a very, like, he's never gonna beg for something again, which, like, killed me.
I don't think you can handle the sort of things I need, Witchling, and I am never begging for anything again in my life. Oh my god. And then he leaves, and Manon's like, what the fuck just happened?
I wrote in our notes, all caps, he teased her and left. He's, like, getting her riled up and then fucking is like, see ya. And then he comes back and he's like, oh yeah? Let's just get in your face a little bit more. And rile you up some more.
She, like, goes to, like, start unbuttoning her shirt, and he grabs her wrists with his fucking shadows.
His, like, is it shadows? What does he have? It's just
invisible. Like, look, here's the
he
thing.
can, like,
Everyone still
morph
calls
air.
him Shadow Daddy. Okay, it's fine. He's another Shadow
Dorian?
Daddy. Yeah,
It's like
because
air.
they're not shadows. Yeah, but Air Daddy doesn't fucking have the same ring to it, does it?
Nah, but he's not a shadow daddy. He's Dorian.
It's fine.
Dorian can't also be shadow daddy. Sorry. There's too many that, like, it doesn't fit his
Here's the thing.
descriptor based
It's
on
a
all the other
trope.
ones that are in my brain.
He doesn't?
He does not fit the shadow daddy descriptor that is in my head.
Yet.
He's in these conversations, he's, like, teetering on the, like, dark side of things, but I'm still, like, the way he interacts with Aelin still, where I'm just like, he's just so innocent and lovely and...
We'll get there.
Mm.
Don't worry.
I don't think I'll ever picture him as Shadow Daddy. I think I always...
Yeah, but I
will
like,
always
you have a
picture him
different...
as, like, very childish.
Sure. But I think you also have a different picture of Azriel than I do. You, like,
I fucking love
is
Asriel.
so awkward, though.
He is.
He doesn't know how to talk to women.
Yeah, which I love.
At all. Which is why I'm also like, what do you think Asriel does?
Yeah.
I would debate his ability. He can't have a conversation with Elide. He, like, doesn't talk to her.
Elaine, you mean?
Or whatever. Sorry, yeah.
I was like,
Elaine.
wait, Elide?
They all start with E.
There's too many E names, correct. Mm-hmm.
He can't talk to her. That's why I'm like the same thing of
See,
like, what do you
I
mean?
picture it
They're
being
like
like
the
very
same
awkward
fucking...
in like the real world, and then be like, who is? Can't think of the character from the Princess Diaries, dark romance.
Ugh.
It gives me the like outside
It's
on like
not
the
Christian.
outside of the
Christian's the last one.
yeah, the one that like you'll crawl
It's Twisted
to me.
Games. Oh, god damn, that book is so good. I have to reread it.
I picture Asriel being that behind closed doors.
Right, but it's the fact that
why-
he's not that. But like, that's what I'm saying is Dorian's basically coming up on the same shit, where he's one way in public and he's one way behind closed doors.
Dorian to me feels more Cassian. With a little bit more darkness, I guess, to his internal dialogue. But he also has been through some shit. Which is fair.
What the fuck is his name? I'm Googling it because it's driving me up a hole.
I figured you would remember his name because it's your favorite one.
Oh my god, I want to die. It's Reese. I'm an idiot.
Ugh, Reese.
I should know that too. All the best dark.
Not Reese Sand. Reese. Two different characters.
Reese. Two very different characters.
Yeah. Both
Guys,
Daddy.
Twisted, just the whole Twisted series. Well, 3 out of the 4 Twisted series.
Yeah. We don't like Twisted Hate. I don't like
Twisted Hate was a lot. Wait, look, we like Twisted Hate except for one particular scene, which we both found
I checked out.
a little too aggressive for either of us to thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah. There's a difference between like dark romance and then just being blatantly a piece of
Being
shit.
a sack of shit.
Yeah.
He was a sack of shit. Fuck that scene. If you know, you know. Most of you probably know. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
I mean,
Actually.
especially at that time, fuck that guy. What a douchebag. But goddamn, Twisted Games is still one of my favorite books.
It's so good.
Every time I recommend it to people, I literally just say, it's Spicy Princess Diaries, please read it.
Mm-hmm.
Just please. So good. So anyways, Manon just gets blue balls. That's it. That's the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
It's great.
So he leaves and then he comes back and then we get a little bit more teasing towards like what he wants to do to her, what she is consenting to him doing, and then he like gets very close, like actually gets like very close to like almost kissing her, and then he's like, not today, and then fucking disappears. He's just like, see ya, and she's like, the fuck? What do you mean?
He like kisses, it says he kisses her on the corner of her mouth, which is basically like kissing her on the cheek, and then he just leaves.
Yep. Ugh.
Maybe another night witchling. Bye!
Mm-hmm. Manon almost bellowed as he slipped out the door and didn't return.
And then Adian like immediately brings her breakfast and is like, can smell the witch's arousal and Dorian's scent, and he's like, I'm just gonna put this here and I'm gonna go. And he goes and talks to Lysandra about it.
It's the best like way to like write him being there. Adian had the pleasure of serving her breakfast and tried not to note the lingering scent of female arousal in the cabin or that Dorian's scent was entwined among it. His internal is just like, fuck.
When he like tells Lysandra about it, and Lysandra is like, I get it. She immediately is just like, I had men come around who'd lost their wives and they just want something entirely different than what they had before because something similar would be too painful.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, it totally makes sense. And Aiden's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? He just doesn't get it. And then she goes, I'd stay out of it if I were you. It's a good plan. I'm not getting in the middle of that disaster, don't worry. They end up talking about Aelin and Manon had another conversation about Elide. And like actually got information out of Manon that like Elide's alive. That dude, she was freaking pissed. She had like, because Manon basically tells them everything about like the fact that Vernon had kept her, about I think like her heritage as well, and then that she like dropped her in the middle of Oakwood Forest and then dipped, and they were all like, "Excuse me, what? You just left her?" Oops.
Yeah. This is all also being recounted from Adian's point of view. So, like, he was sitting in while they had the conversation. And so then he pretty much says that after finding out that Manon had abandoned the girl in the middle of the forest, Aelin hadn't bothered with restraints. 2 strikes, so fast even the wing leader didn't see them. A backhanded blow to Manon's face for leaving Elide, and then a ring of fire around Manon's throat, slamming her into the wood as Aelin made her swear the information was correct. This is the first, like, real time, I think, that we see Aelin, like, switch into this, like, kind of, like, ruler type.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time she, like, snaps because she's scared someone that she has been close to is dead. Even when Rowan had an arrow through his shoulder, she had the ability to kill Manon and went back and saved her. Like, even when all of these things were happening, she always kind of like paused before she actually acted on something. And this is the first time, outside of her being Selena and, like, still not knowing what was going on and, like, kind of not being in control of herself fully, this is the first, like, act as Aelin that she really is, like, reprimanding someone in a physical manner. Which I think she also, like, kind of regrets after she does it. She does it, and then she, like, also regrets by the fact that, like, I'm no better than the king of Otterlin. Like, if I'm keeping her in chains, like, she thinks back about herself having chains on her wrists at Endovier, and, like, I don't know, there's this back and forth where she doesn't fully know if she should be the bad guy or the, like, good guy in some of these scenarios.
Yeah, I think it's warranted this time.
I think so too. I also was like, I understand why Manon left her, because the other option was she gonna just be on the back of Abraxos with her while she's fighting against her grandmother and all the 13 is running too? Like, she tried to drop her off in like a semi-familiar place for her and be like, you know the direction you need to go, you know where you are, just go.
Yeah. It's not Elide's fault that she requires a lot more attention than that. So they get in that fight. They get more information. Adian is still avoiding his dad. Surprise, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also still hopelessly like following after Lysandra like a poor sad puppy dog.
I put a little crying emoji. Yeah, Adian would count the minutes until Lysandra returned when she'd go out on patrol, and I just had the sobbing emoji right next to it.
Yes. It's amazing. Yeah, he's hopelessly in love with her, and it's adorable.
Is too.
I love it. She's getting there.
but I think she has a lot more
Trauma?
in the, like, love realm. She definitely
Yeah.
has a lot more trauma.
Absolutely.
Adian, I think, just has never truly felt love. And now he's feeling it for the first time, so he's like, I don't know what to do with this information.
Yep.
It's here, though, and I care about her, even when she's a sea dragon, even when she's a large cat, even when she's
Yeah.
a bird, which I love.
She's just too cool.
Yeah, I say
She's too cool for this whole book. Dorian also asks for Manon to be set free, and Aelin is like, cool, did you feel that way before or after you visited her in the middle of the night? He's like, hold on. Whoa. You get to be attracted to, like, immortal warriors and I don't. She's like, that is very different than no. They, like, she considers it though, which I think is
one thing.
dope.
Yeah, one thing that he snaps back at her. So they kind of fight about this. Because Dorian clearly does not want Manon to be a prisoner. He trusts her and believes she'll help him.
Yeah.
Aelin is still like, she was the wing leader and worked for Erewhon. So, like, rightfully a little like, the fuck? We can't just, like, immediately trust her off the bat.
She's suspicious for good reason.
Yes.
Dorian, I think, is being a little too trusted too fast.
Yeah. He kind of under his breath says, I am king, you know. As, like, I can also make decisions and be trusted with information and to be able to, like, pass judgment on people to know whether they're good or bad. Which kind of tugs at Aelin a little. Because from the very beginning, she said, I will be at your side. Like, the two of them will be fighting together, side by side, and it's been the Aelin show. Granted, for a while, he was like...
interest.
Yeah.
He's
I
on
think this is the
purpose
first
been
time.
like, I don't wanna. Yeah. And I think that's why she, like, tries to give him what he wants without too much of a fight, because she doesn't want... If this is his first decision that he's going to make as, like, pulling his king power, she doesn't want to be like, no, we're not doing that. That's dumb.
We're not shutting him down.
So she like,
counters.
she does kind of say yes, but she's like, she pulls any funny business, and we're back in the chains, dude.
Yeah. She also says, like, she's going to be guarded. She's never going to be by herself.
Yeah.
She will be with somebody. And, like, if she tries to pull some shit, it goes back to the way it was. And Dorian's like, fair. We can do that.
So they go down to, like, talk with her.
Yeah, Aelin's seething at this point. Like, her whole inner dialogue is, like, getting into bed with a witch. Dorian doesn't make any, like, is like, she's freaking out. She's like, now I have to let her out because, like, I don't want to just, like, be an ass to my best friend. Like, she has this whole, like, mini war inside her head as they're walking down to Manon's room, which I think is fantastic. But she's still also, like,
Rowan, like, asks her in her head, too, like, what are you thinking about? And she says, killing, crocheting, how to make you emit those noises again. And he's like, the fuck? Dude. Okay. They go down to, like, talk with Manon, and Manon immediately, like, looks at Fenris and is like, who the fuck is that? And Dorian, like, introduces him. Manon's like, that's not Fenris. No. And we're all like,
as this is happening, luckily, as this is happening, Aelin's like unlocking the chains around her, like, wrists and ankles, or Dorian's doing it. Someone is doing it as she goes, who the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone obviously responds, it's Fenris. And she goes, no, it isn't. I just wrote, what the fuck? And it says, no, he's not, Manon said. The witch's iron nails flashed out a heartbeat before Fenris struck. Because Fenris, air quotes, for those listening, goes and attacks Manon. And then we find out it's not Fenris at all, and it's the Bloodhound from like 8 million years ago has showed up.
It's okay though, guys. It's okay because Fenris is fine. He's above deck. He has no idea that this is going on.
Fenris is fine. I also was like,
that
is he
happened.
dead?
That's my first thing was like, please no. Where's Fenris?
He can't be dead.
Aelin demands. The Bloodhound's smile didn't falter. On patrol of the ship, on another level, I assume. Unaware, just as you were unaware, that one of your own isn't truly with you. Aelin responds, ugh, another talker. Gross.
Another talker.
She basically, like, because, of course, evil monologuing be monologuing, you know? She's like, I'm here to kill Manon, because that's what Erewhon told me to do. And Aelin's like, all right, cool, whatever. Get on with it, I guess. And
she goes, wait. She goes, let me guess. You killed a sailor, took his place, learned what you needed to know about how to get Manon off the ship and our patrols. What? You plan to carry her off into the night? You look like you could barely lift a fork and haven't in months.
Aelin is the most eloquent person in this whole book, and I love it.
Honestly,
so
you
much.
Could have just snuck in here and saved yourself 1,000 stupid steps.
Like she could have just killed her.
Yeah.
Like if you could have gotten in here as Fenris, why get in here as Fenris while the rest of us are here? Just fucking impersonate a guard and come in and stab her. Like, what are we doing? Or like impersonate Dorian and come in. This isn't this complicated.
Like, why are we being so dramatic? Just do the thing.
This is like some shit that be like Erewhon would be like, no, you gotta do it while she's there so that we know she knows it was us. It's like, God, you dumb idiot. Just okay, cool.
This is also the same time the Bloodhound notices Lysandra and like yells shifter at her, or like says it in this like tone that is like a disgust kind of thing, or like intrigue. Like you don't really know. But she's pointing, like the Bloodhound is pointing at Lysandra and just saying shifter, like over and over again. Of course, they all kind of put themselves between Lysandra and the Bloodhound because ain't nobody gonna touch Lysandra on anyone's watch.
Her saying this does make Aelin suspect that that's how this Bloodhound came to be, is that she was a shifter that had been experimented on. Which would make sense because she became Fenris and then became not Fenris pretty quick. So,
yep.
Yeah. She comes with a threat. She gives a strap of black leather to Manon and says, your second screamed when Erewhon broke her. His dark majesty sends this to remember her by. A gift from a king of the Vogue to the last living Kraken queen. She, like, refuses to believe it. She gets real freaked out by it, but, like, refuses to believe it. She does not want to think that she's dead. It's also, like, not proof.
Yeah, what is it? It's a strap of black leather.
Yes, it's a strap of black leather.
So when she wore in her hair or something.
Yeah, she gives her a lot of information to, like, convince her. She, like, says stuff about how she had a baby and, like, the scars that were on her and all this other stuff. And I think Manon's just, like, a little freaked out by it, but, like, she's too smart to be like, yes, I will trust this obvious spy with 100%
also,
of the information she gives me.
Her grandmother did all of this stuff to her second,
she would
and
know.
Her grandmother is directly working with Erewhon. So, like, very easy information for Erewhon to gather just from her grandmother in passing. She doesn't actually have to see her second's or Astrin's body at all to get that information.
They, like, go to lunge for... Manon goes to lunge for the Bloodhound, and Dorian kills the Bloodhound first. Manon's pissed that he took her kill, and then they, like, hear Abraxos on the deck, like, send something, and it's more Ilken coming in to attack them. And then
Manon
Lysandra's.
fucking books it.
She
too.
books it to Abraxos.
Yeah, because
And
she
then-
heard Abraxos like scream or like do his like war cry situation, and she's like she yells Abraxos and just fucking
Yep.
barrels through everyone to get to him.
He's
As I would do
already
as
in
well.
the air. He's like already in the air, ready to go. And then Lysandra also shapeshifts into a wyvern and is also fucking ready to go. So it's Abraxos and Lysandra as wyverns, fucking ready to take down these bitches.
We were talking earlier about how we were picturing like Aelin or Dorian like just sitting next to the wyvern. I was picturing also Lysandra just like
Snuggled.
sitting there and being
Like
like,
trying-
God, you're
yeah,
so
studying.
beautiful, and just like
How do
saying
I
all
be
these
you?
wonderful things of like, okay, what do I need to know to be you? And him just like showing off. Like I just pictured her
And like
like, looking at
transforming
him
into one
and
and,
him,
then
like,
like making
putting
little
his-
adjustments.
Yeah. Oh, I just pictured them like next to each other, like having little schemes talking to each other where she would be like, what's that thing on your wing? And he just opens it like, here you go. You can see whatever you want and you could just become me. That's fine.
So a big fight ensues. They had like
Mhm.
6 Ilken that they were fighting, and then there were like 8 more and killing a bunch of soldiers. And they're like freaking out. Adian's wondering if like Rolf sold them out. They don't know how they found them. It's the Bloodhound probably has been on the ship for ages and has told them where they were, and like that's how they figure it out. Is my thought. And then the Bloodhound probably followed.
The one thing I do like is Fenris shows up and puts 3 arrows through the Bloodhound to like stick
like,
it to
how
the wall
fucking
kind of thing.
dare you?
And he's like, he flips out at all of them. It's like, how the fuck did you not notice that wasn't me? Hello?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, looking back at it, he didn't say anything. That is suspicious as fuck. The fact that he had zero
Nothing
thoughts.
to say.
Nothing to say.
He just followed
Just
blindly.
a silent Fenris accepting direction with no talking back whatsoever.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's sus. That's weird.
Yeah.
Which I thought, that is pretty fucking hilarious.
Oh, so good.
They basically, like, they are just there to send a message, and the like last Ilken tells her, "Thank you for confirming in Skull's Bay that you carry what his dark majesty seeks." And it's confirmation that Erewhon knows that she has one of the word keys,
Yep.
which is fucking horrifying.
Yep, he knows.
He knows, and he knows where they are, which is extra terrifying.
Yeah.
During
In this fight scene, sorry, I was gonna say Adian and Gabriel have a little moment, which I think is
I
kind
know.
of important. Adian is like 1v2 Ilken. Gabriel sees it and is injured from fighting another one, but he comes over to help Adian.
And gets
And-
further injured.
Yeah. Further, they both get injured in this like fight against these 2 Ilken.
Mhm.
At one point, Adian like describes them being back to back and him never picturing fighting alongside his father. And then they have like a little moment of like, you're good, you're good. Adian was like, I don't know what, like internal dialogue of like, I don't know what I would have done if Gabriel died. And
Yeah.
he's like, fuck, I kind of actually care about my dad a little bit. So we get
Shit.
like this little like, they give a shit. He gives a shit. We know Gabriel like loves Adian
Progress.
already, but just a little bit. We
During
get a
this
little
fight,
progress.
yeah, during this fight, Fenris is also pretty severely injured. He gets cut by the Ilken, and they have poison claws.
Mhm.
So they're all like immediately like Aelin is doing nothing but trying to heal Fenris, and as he's being healed, he's not looking good at all. There's like one more Ilken that's like flying away. And they have this fucking conversation while Aelin is like really trying to heal him.
She's putting all of her power into
All of her
pulling the
power.
poison out of him. Like
And
she's
Rowan-
sweating. It's like described as her like kind of on the brink of like potentially burning out because she's like giving him so much of her power to
Yeah.
heal and like using her water wielding power that she
Yep.
doesn't ever use to like push this shit out of him.
One of the Ilken is like flying away, and like Lysandra comes out of the shadows, is like, is anybody gonna deal with that? And like Rowan goes to like set up to take the shot or whatever. Fenris just says, a gold coin says he misses. And Aelin's like, save your breath for healing. Adian bets. Aelin says you can all go to hell. Just kidding. Make it 5. 10 says he downs it with the first shot. And then
Deal,
Rowan's response
Fenris.
is, remind me why I bother with any of you. Fires, hits it immediately. No problems whatsoever.
It drops to the water.
And Rowan just turns to them and says, pay up, pricks.
So good.
He is, like, Fenris is not well. And he's very
Adian and
much
Rowan also
struggling.
catch on to what Aelin is trying to do. Like,
Yeah.
they catch on to the fact that, like, she's trying to distract, like, they're trying to distract Fenris from, like, he's on the brink of death.
And
it's
yeah,
okay.
they're
He's
trying
fine.
they're trying to distract. He ends up being fine. They have like a conversation about like why, like, about Fenris's powers and stuff, and how like he says that he like doesn't have much that makes him special, like just a lot of the normal stuff other than the like being able to, I don't know, like shadow leap or whatever they call it. Gavriel makes a joke, guys. Everyone gets real confused about Gavriel making a joke. Aelin says, what's your shield made of then? Gavriel mutters, arrogance. And Aelin says, so you do have a sense of humor, Gavriel. That sense of humor only appears about once a century, Fenris rasped. So you'd better hope you settle, or else that's the last time you'll see it. So good.
I also, Adian had this, like, slight flashback of her calling him Uncle Kitty Cat also, which I completely forgot about.
Oh my god.
Where when I read it, I highlighted the whole section because I was just like, this is fantastic.
The Lion of Doranal gave a wary smile over his shoulder, the rare-sighted, restrained twin to Adian's own flashing grins. Adian had called him Uncle Kitty Cat all of one time before Aelin had snarled viciously enough to make her think carefully before using the term again.
Gavriel, to his credit, had merely given Aelin a long, suffering sigh that seemed to be used only when she or Fenris were around. Which is
So
very
good.
uncle vibe.
It's fantastic. Just, fuck, kids, come on. Get your shit together. Fenris and Aelin also have a moment where they talk about Maeve. And
Yeah, we get a little bit, like, I just wrote it as, we get some Fenris lore.
yeah. So, like, she, like, he confirms that he hates the oath and that Maeve knows and, like, uses it to torture him. And it's, like, that him being sent on this and being given this freedom is part of that because he knows that he's going to have to go back. And Aelin says, I'm sorry you're bound to her. And Fenris looks at Rowan and Aelin and says, this is what we're meant to do, to serve, to protect, serve, and cherish. What Maeve offers is a mockery of that. But it is what calls to a Fey male's blood, what guides him, what we're all looking for, even when we say we're not. Ugh, it hurts. This is also when we get, like, confirmation of Gavriel. He's so honorable and known for being so honorable that he'd never do anything to break the bond. But he says that there's only one time that he's ever hated it and ever wanted to leave. And it was for Adian and his mother. But his mother did not want him to do that.
Mm-hmm. And that's why he stayed away.
And that's why she stayed away and he stayed away. And stayed, like, separated from each other. It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I still think it was the right decision, though. I think they were
Oh.
both right to do that.
Yeah.
As much as it sucks for Gavriel and Adian, and as much as Adian hates it, I do truly believe that the outcome would have been so much worse if, yeah, because they 100% would have done it.
I really like in this, prior to getting some Gavriel lore in Fenris's like background, I like the way that he describes his parents. That he describes, our mother was a warrior. She trained us as such. Our father was too, but often away at war. She was tasked with defending our home and our lands and reporting to Maeve. Where I'm just like, I love this idea of like another. I love this idea of Fenris like having the background of having like a woman in his life that was like so very much in charge, and like they always give Aelin like a hard time, but they still look at her with respect. Like Fenris and Gabriel still look at her with respect, and it feels like because he had a mother who also was a warrior, that like he sees a warrior in Aelin and sees like the women around him as like warriors and like can do just as much if not more. Where I'm just like, yes, it's just such a little like nugget of information that like the first sentence out of his mouth is our mother was a warrior, which was just like my heart. Adian and Gabriel have like a tiny little moment. We also know that Adian does not like to address the things that he interacts with in general. So like when everyone's going to bed, he's like did his round of watch on the top deck. He's like, I don't really want to go back inside. So he pretty much goes towards like the front end. So like Abraxos is curled up. Manon is like will not leave his side because he was injured. Adian kind of tucks himself against one thing, and then Lysandra finds him in her like leopard form and just like curls up against him with her head like in his lap, like essentially purring as he like pets her, and then they fall asleep together like right there. And I'm just like, oh, my heart.
So cute.
It's so good.
It's precious.
But like I said, Manon is with Abraxos because Abraxos did get injured, and she will not let a soul next to him, which I understand, but also I'm like, Manon, get your fucking shit together. They could have him healed already. He could be fine if you just let the people that have magic, healing magic, heal your wyvern. Please stop being an arrogant shit and just let them help you. So she tended to him herself the entire night while everyone rested. She did not go to bed. She also didn't run away, which was one thing she did say she would do the second she was out of her chains a while
but
back.
Now she can't because Abraxos is injured. She'd never put him through that.
Yes.
Dorian also kind of sticks around and is like healing other people that are injured because there's a bunch of other soldiers and sailors and stuff that are on the boat. So
they're all like healing
them.
people.
Yeah.
Dorian's doing like the lesser healing while he's leaving kind of anyone that was poisoned. Rowan, Aelin, and Gavriel, I think, are the three that are like in charge with dealing with people who have poison in them, because they're the only ones that can like wield enough power to take it out of them, I guess.
Yeah. He approaches Manon and they have a conversation about like his power and what it is. Like she questions him about like what is the magic that he has,
specifically referring to like his ability to like have hands like do things.
Hey, how's that fucking work, bro? Can we talk about
I kind of liked it, but like also I kind of want to know,
but like how? I also love this conversation because he says that he wouldn't harm her, but she does say it. She says it as a statement. You liked killing the bloodhound, though, and he says yes. And she asks why he didn't make her suffer. Like he killed her really quickly and cleanly. And he says even with our enemies, there's a line. Which I think is like. I just think it's like a lot of growth around like he's like, yeah, I did enjoy killing that person that was our enemy. He doesn't feel shame for killing it. And also at the same time, he's like, yes, but it's still a being that I wouldn't actively wish suffering upon. Which I think is, like, great, Dorian. Keep that up, bud. Good to hear. This is the conversation where he says that he's not interested. I have no interest in human women. Too breakable. God damn. But also, yeah, I get it.
Manon says to him in this conversation, like, one of the best lines I think she has so far to him. And you were getting to it. You're about to say it. I didn't ask she said, then you have your answer. And he responds, I didn't ask a question. Manon snorted. You've had that look in your eyes all night. If you're becoming a monster like the rest of us. The next time you kill, remind yourself of that line. Like, pretty much saying, like, you are not a monster. You are protecting your family. Like, he acted because it protected Manon. He didn't act because he just wanted to kill the Bloodhound.
Yeah.
Which I think is such a solid thing.
Yeah.
Because she knows he regrets killing his father. Like, he has regret about any of the deaths that occur. And this is the first one he kind of doesn't regret, which is scary to him because he's like, what am I becoming now? She's like, no. You can be okay with the bad guys dying and still hold the line of, like, you're not trying to torture people and, like, lock them up and put a collar around their neck. You're not one and the same.
Yeah. She's like pep talking the whole fucking crew right now, which is like, where did this come from?
She's the only one that has actually, like, seen
but
what
also,
the fuck
like,
is the other side.
She's right. I'm just still, like, it's taking me mentally a second to be like, okay, how did we go from she's their mortal enemy, and now she's like, don't worry, Dorian, you're not a monster, and also this next bit, which is,
well, she cares about Dorian more than all of them.
They're all panicking about, like, how they found them. And she goes, snap out of it. So you miscalculated. So they tracked you. Don't get distracted with the minor defeats. This is war. Cities will be lost. People slaughtered. And if I were you, I would be more concerned about why they sent so few Ilken. And I'm just like, Manon's like, Manon's part of the team now. Like, she's in. She's invested. Because she's getting them all to, like, get their fucking heads out of their asses and be like, stop freaking about the fact that you made a mistake. Get over it. You got bigger things to worry about.
Shit is moving too fast for you to wallow in self-pity. Like, let's fucking go.
She, like, they also, like, refer to her as a Blackbeak. And Manon says that she's not a Blackbeak anymore. And then she tells them, like, the whole story of that. And the fact that she's the daughter of a Kraken prince and her mother, and that she's basically the last, like, Kraken queen, which is crazy. And they all kind of make the realization on the boat that there's not just one queen on the boat now. It's Manon and also Aelin. And then there's still Dorian, who's the king. There's a lot of power on the boat right now, basically.
2 queens. There are 2 queens among them, Dorian realized. That's a little scary.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Aelin snaps out. Like, in that moment, Manon is correct. Aelin doesn't need coddling at any point. Ever.
No.
And sometimes I feel like everyone around her kind of is like, well, we don't want to push her to her breaking point. Oh, we don't want to push on this. She'll never tell us anything. Manon is like, get your fucking shit together. This is a war. And of course, Aelin goes, I knew I saved your sorry ass for a reason.
Hell yeah.
So
Manon's answering smile was terrifying. All males seem to loosen a tight breath, Dorian himself included. I just fucking love it. They're both like, I knew you and I were gonna be friends, and the guys are all like, fuck. Oh no.
We did not know if you guys were gonna be friends.
I don't like this anymore. I am now scared.
We get a little bit more lore
Oh
from
my god.
Manon. And
Yeah.
this spirals, and of course, this made me want to go back in a few books and be like, the fuck did I miss
Yep.
4 books ago or 3 books ago? Adian says something along the lines of like, anyone can be bought for a price, referring to Maeve. And Fenris snaps, nameless is the price of Maeve's alliance. It can't be purchased. Aelin went utterly still at the warrior's words. Aelin murmured, nameless is my price. Adian opened his mouth, no doubt to ask what had snagged her attention. Aelin frowned at Manon. Can your kind see the future? See it as an oracle can? Some, Manon admitted. The Blue Bloods claim they can. Can other clans? They say that for the ancients, past and present and future bleed together. Aelin shook her head and walked towards the door. An ancient, Dorian mused, then murmured to Manon, Baba Yellowlegs. Baba Yellowlegs is the most powerful oracle and fortune teller of the witches. And I want to go back to the scene to reread everything Baba Yellowlegs said to Aelin before Aelin killed her. Because
so she calls it's Brandon's mark, which is the mark of the nameless, because it's the bastard's mark.
Okay.
And then I think that's what Baba Yellowlegs says to Aelin, that she carries Brandon's mark, which is the mark of the bastard. And then she says nameless is the price. I mean, nameless is the price comes up like a couple of times, but the nameless one is what they had for the mark that she has on her forehead or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the second time now that nameless comes up again, being as nameless it would be the price of Maeve's allegiance.
So Aelin's freaking the fuck out because she's the only one that knows. Dorian has an idea because Dorian was a part of kind of that thing. He knows about the mark on her. I don't know how much he knows about like the nameless part of it being a thing. There's a good possibility that they had like a little download in the like catacombs at some point when they talked about Baba Yellowlegs. But I do not recall if Dorian knows about her mark. Nehemia definitely knew.
I don't think that she told any. I don't even know if Rowan technically knows. I don't know if it's been explicitly said to him. She freaks out, locks herself in the bathroom, gets sick, doesn't even like ask Rowan. She doesn't want him anywhere near her. She asks for Lysandra. Kat had a full fucking freak out.
I'm still mad at Sarah for this. And I will be mad at Sarah for this forever.
Yeah. She wrote in all caps in our notes, if she is fucking pregnant, I am going to flip the fuck out and stop reading.
I would. 100%.
So she gets sick.
Rowan has a panic and thinks she's pregnant.
We're unsure if, like, at the time that you read it, we're unsure if it's, like, because she's just panicking. I think I read it more when I first read it. I was like, she's panicking because we know more than the reader. Rowan immediately thinks she's pregnant.
My immediate was she's panicking and doesn't know what to do, which is a reaction she's had in the past. She goes and is, like, puking. Mm-hmm. The fact that Rowan had an internal dialogue of potentially her being pregnant, I said, I swear to fucking God, if that actually is a thing. I stopped reading in that moment and I was like, I don't know if I can read further. Like, I have to read further to find out, but I don't know if I can read further right now because I'm mad. And I was so mad. I'm still mad. I don't ever want that feeling. Unexpected pregnancies, not a trope I like. It's one I actually despise very heavily.
I don't like I don't mind the like surprise pregnancy if they both wanted to have kids anyways. That part I don't mind. But I also want kids eventually. I get that like a lot of people get really pissed off with the surprise pregnancy stuff because like not every relationship needs to end in people being pregnant and happy or whatever and like having kids.
See, there's a difference. If they're like, it's the same ACOTAR spoiler. For anyone who hasn't read ACOTAR, the thing that fucking pissed me off about ACOTAR, in the middle of a fucking war, Farah gets pregnant. And it becomes the entire trope of the book, and it fucking pissed me off. It was like my least favorite thing of the whole. I just pretended it wasn't going on the whole time. I pretended that wasn't a thing. They were panicking about her, whether she could have the baby or not. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna go pay attention to these other characters because now I am no longer invested in her as a character. Because anytime, like, she's supposed to be badass and do all these things, and then it's like, now she's weak and pregnant and blah blah blah. And it just made me so mad. Because just because she's pregnant doesn't mean she's weak and now has to be treated differently. It just, it made me angry. That was the end of my rant. But it kind of ruined that part of the book. It ruined that book for me. And I really was scared that Sarah was going to do that shit to me again.
She doesn't.
Thank God.
She does not. I do like, so like this is skipping ahead a little bit because I think Sarah made you suffer. I won't make the people listening to our podcast suffer. She's not pregnant.
The next chapter we have with them, she says she's not pregnant.
Not pregnant. But she does say that she wasn't taking any sort of tonic or whatever, specifically because like she is the queen of her people and she's not, if this would be like her only chance to secure her future for her kingdom, she's not going to do anything to mess with it. Which, like,
they're about to go into a fucking war. Maybe think a little ahead.
But, like, there really is no
There's
good
a larger target.
to have children. True. But, like, if you want something to help secure your future in the situation that they're in, that will.
How?
Because it's the future of her people. Like, she has to have kids eventually. She needs someone to pass her throne to. That's how that works.
She doesn't even currently have her throne.
Yeah, but, like, that's part of the... Yeah, what do you think all of these fucking stupid men... Do you think that if she had a boy as a kid, like, if she had a male heir to give her shit to, that all of these men would be like, no, we're still gonna ignore him?
Yes.
I don't think so. That's not how their world works.
The way they act, it feels like
a son would stupidly, as annoying as it is, it would absolutely give her more power. I don't think that it's right that it would, but it would.
Yeah.
She also wants
like
it because she wants to
thing.
make sure. Yeah, it's the same thing. So, she's not pregnant. Everything's fine. We're good.
Mm-hmm. Rowan, of course, goes on patrol. Well, sorta. He goes to cool off because he thinks she's pregnant. And now he's like, she's gonna be pregnant. We're going into war.
Yeah.
I have to change the way I think about everything. Nah. He goes and flies off and realizes that they're almost at Ilwe. They kind of crest over this little section. And he sees that Ilwe is on fire. Burning.
Great.
Of course, fire. Because why wouldn't they use fire to stir the pot? Yeah. That's just how it works. And then, let's go hang out with Elide and Lorcan some more. Elide and Lorcan.
Elide's pissed.
They're my
still.
favorite. I still think they're my favorite. I love the Lysandra Adian like dynamic. Elide and Lorcan's dynamic. Lorcan, okay. I think the reason Dorian can't do daddy vibes for me in any capacity is because Lorcan is daddy.
Yeah, I know.
Like, of all the characters in the book,
correct.
Lorcan is daddy.
That's
like, that is... So, Dorian is just like, Dorian. Everyone else is just, like, Rowan is also Rowan. Like, Lorcan gives, like, the shadow daddy vibe, even though he doesn't have shadow.
He's also the very typical, like, he's the alpha male and also just such an idiot at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
It's great.
It's fantastic. It's my favorite thing. Like if you want the key, the secret sauce to writing the real good, like, daddy characters, make them just a little dumb. Super pretty, but also like a little bit dumb emotionally.
But they're like arrogant to the point of being emotionally dumb. Like they have to have that like
they
air
think
of
they know absolutely everything and that they're so smart. But also just they're a little stupid when it comes to human interactions.
That's how I feel about Asriel. Like he's a little dumb when it comes to human interactions. He's a little bit more awkward.
The thing is, he's not
to
dumb.
Me, Asriel's like
he is socially
on the spectrum.
Awkward. Yeah, I think that's why. I can't get. Maybe that's the crux of it. I don't know.
To me, he's just like
that's why I see them as very different.
That's fair.
Because I don't think Lorcan's on the spectrum. I think Lorcan's just socially inept.
Yeah, I think he's
but not in a spectrum way, just in a
I think he's like
trauma
inept to the point where
and he's too good for
warrior.
Yeah, he's like I'm too good for social attachments and entanglements. Like, okay, bud.
He sees them as a weakness. So they're more of like he's more of like the arrogant warrior kind of idiot.
Which is why I think her fucking conversation with him hit so goddamn hard. She's like, you're trying to convince everyone that you don't want that shit, and you're a fucking liar, and it's pathetic. And I was like, God damn, Elide, shit, you go, girl.
Speaking of them, they're still on their boat.
Fucking angry as she should be, but also she's on her period, so she needs supplies. Lorcan also like really. Happy to hear.
Actually made me cry.
I can absolutely understand that. She is de-stressed enough. She's eating better. She's like out being active, not locked in a tower. So Lorcan was like, you didn't bleed this month or like bleed this much before. Like, why all of a sudden is your period like such a big issue? And she says, perhaps my body finally felt safe enough to be normal. Oh, she's like healthy and like, oh my God.
Actual tears. For anyone that doesn't know me, I was malnourished for about 8 years because of a stomach issue. I've now recently been diagnosed celiac in the last year, and it affected my ability to have a period, which like
and now you're healthier.
But now that I have been able to put on weight again and like eat food, I have my period again, which is such a weird like little thing I didn't even realize as being a thing in the moment. So this line actually hit me in my soul, and so I was good. Like, cry immediately.
Felt safe enough.
I was just like,
Lorcan, of course, like, doesn't understand what that means, so he doesn't understand the implications of her feeling safe enough. But we do, and that's adorable, and we love it. They try to go find stuff for her.
Yeah, he tries to convince himself that, like, yeah, we need supplies anyway.
Yeah, we'll just go and get stuff.
This freaked me out, this whole scene, because the second, even before, like, I realized it before it hit Lorcan. Like, I think my assumption is that, like, the reader wasn't supposed to pick up on it until Lorcan picked up on it. But, so he goes out and is buying supplies. And he gets to a point where he's, like, purchasing food, and then the person he was buying food from gave him like extra fruit or something, like apples or pears or I don't know. Gave him something extra and said, "For the lovely lady." My brain went, how the fuck does he know about Elide? Because she has not been by his side since the docks. That also registers in Lorcan's brain, the second he goes to put all of the crates in their boat, he goes, "For the lovely lady," he said. His head echoed with those words, an off-kiltering pealing. Like, it finally hits him after he's walked away from the town.
Whoops.
And he's like, where the fuck is Elide? Meanwhile, Elide went to go try on some clothes because she had to rip a bunch of hers up to make makeshift pads or like lady things. So she needs some clothes. Also, they have been, I don't know, covered in dirt and grime for many days traveling. So, you know, a new shirt and pants, not a terrible thing since she didn't have any, really. She was in one of the inns. As he's like trying to find her, there's this like very big sense of not right, not right, not right, which we recognize from Manon interacting with any of the Vogue or like being in Morath.
Yeah.
Like there was always this like not right, not right, not right singing inside of her. He has that same feeling.
He realizes that it's not something that was coming, but it's something that's already here. And we like immediately cut to Elide, who also had the same voice. She like gets shoved into the room to try on the clothes, and the like door gets locked behind her and she can't get out, and the voice is yelling at her to like run, and she can't because she runs into something muscled, bony, and leathery that smelled of spoiled meat and old blood. And she turns around to a candlelit room. Fucking Vernon is sitting there.
Fuck Vernon.
What an adventure you had, Elide. She tries to like tell them that she's with someone, that like my husband is here and he'll be here like any minute, and you can't do anything now because now I'm someone else's property. And Vernon knows of course, who is like, he is.
Oh, Lorcan is your husband, I'm sure.
Uh-huh. We're gonna go now. You're coming with. The Ilken are being really creepy and gross, of course. And she realizes...
they're, like, sniffing her and, like...
Yeah. She realizes that their plan is to take her, like, fly her back to Morath.
While
lies.
He's grabbing... Yeah, I was gonna say.
He lies to her this entire time and is like, Manon's dead. Her grandmother killed her and threw her off the side of a cliff. Which I feel like he might actually think that she is dead because
I thought the same thing.
This is the only part where like he might not actually be lying to her. He also tells her that Lorcan like already left and that he left her, which is a lie because I don't think he would know that. He knows that he went back to the place or whatever, like he went back to the boat, but
he does say that he like was unmooring the boat and like readying to leave, which is not accurate, as we are well aware.
He's a little, but it's really unclear whether they actually know if Manon's alive or not from like this conversation. What is clear is that they know what she has in her pocket, which is the word stone that she took from Kaltain, which is also terrifying. She is not going back under any circumstance. She sees the dagger that Vernon has on him, and she hatches her plan. And as they get closer to like where they're going to like,
they're gonna shove her into a metal box with one little window, and then the reason all the 4 Ilken were there was so that they could fly carrying the box with her in it to bring her back to Morath.
It was little bigger than a coffin standing upright, and the door was already open. As they get closer, she also
debates on using the stone. But then that voice inside of her pretty much was like,
don't do that.
Do not touch it. Do not use it. Do not acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Do not touch
it.
The
voice is also telling her not to do what she's planning to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she does it anyways. Vernon didn't have time to realize what she intended as she whipped the knife free from its sheath at his hip, as she flipped the knife in her fingers, her other hand wrapping around the hilt, as her shoulders curved inward, her chest caving, and she drove the blade home.
She was gonna stab herself in the chest.
Lorcan is watching all of this play out, and he is preparing to kill the Ilken, and he's watching Elide sobbing, horrified, and Elide
he could have taken out Vernon too.
He could have taken out Vernon.
But saved her.
He sees Elide, and he says Elide proved she wasn't bluffing in her claim to never return to Morath. He heard her nose break as she hit the rim of the box, heard her uncle's cry of surprise as she rebounded and lunged for him and grabbed his dagger, not to kill him. For the first time in 5 centuries, Lorcan knew true fear as Elide turned that knife on herself, the blade angled to plunge up and into her heart. He threw his hatchet. As the tip of the dagger pierced the leather over her ribs, the wooden handle of his hatchet slammed into her wrist. Elide went down with a cry, the dagger flying wide. He fucking yeets his axe, his weapon, at her to prevent her from killing herself.
I wrote in all caps, ah!
She then, okay, so now they're in the thick of it. They're fighting.
Yes.
Vernon, fucks off. The other 2 are still there, and then they're they fight. She gets up to start running, and he notices that she's running. Elide was running like hell for the narrow alley out of the courtyard, not the broad street. The alley too small for the Ilken to fit, especially with all the debris and trash littered throughout. Good girl.
I wrote all caps, good girl. The best.
Excuse me while I pass out.
This is why Lorcan is daddy.
Okay, thank you.
Just is. If Dorian said it, it wouldn't have the same ring. It is what it is.
Nah, it's true.
I would say,
Elide, of course.
Given the option between Manon and Dorian being daddy, Manon is daddy.
Manon is daddy. No, Manon is absolutely daddy.
This is
more specifically,
maybe
Manon
that's
is
why.
Manon is muscle mommy.
That could be why. He can't be daddy if Manon is
She's
closer
mommy.
to daddy.
No, you're correct.
Yeah,
you're right. Because
I just can't. There's no. It's Manon.
Yeah,
in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
In this scenario, it's Lorcan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the Aelin Rowan, sometimes it's Aelin, sometimes it's Rowan. They have the power.
Lysandra. It's absolutely
Lysandra. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm looking at individuals, if those 2 individuals
see,
together.
but then I can see how it could be Azriel, because it's not Elaine. Unless we're about to get into some fucking book 6 switch chaos, which I'm super down for.
I'm very here for.
See, but then Nesta's it's Nesta.
Nesta is daddy.
Yeah. Oh no. We've unlocked the formula. We've solved it. We've solved the equation.
Yep. This is in my brain. This is how it works.
And then it's just those what do we do in the situations where it is Aelin and Rowan?
They swap.
They're both daddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just swap back and forth. Which
I
like that dynamic too. I'm very into the dynamic of swapping back and forth. See, in my brain, of the power, which one has the power, quote unquote. Hello? Where is your brain?
It was too funny not to, okay?
I think Dorian wants to be daddy.
You don't get to say where is my brain. This is a smut podcast.
True.
Do you know where we are?
I was trying to figure out where you went.
Where are you? Which direction of the 9 million directions we could have gone did I go?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Also,
Elide's
again,
a fucking badass in this whole
Elide's
entire
amazing.
interaction, by the way.
She goes into the alley, but does she go into the alley just to save herself? No. She's even better. She goes into the alley because that's where the fucking hatchet went, and she needs a weapon. She gets the weapon, and then fucking kills 2 of the Ilken by herself, because she's a badass bitch. She, like, gets them, like, injures them or something, like, gets them onto her knees, and onto their knees, right where she wants them, and then, like, fucking decapitates them. Oh, so cool.
She also then sees that at the end, there's one Ilken and Vernon that remain. The Ilken go and fly off with Vernon. Mm-hmm. She yeets the hatchet towards him. She misses. She barely misses.
So sad.
Lorcan describes it as, it missed the Ilken's wing by a whisper of wind. So, like, she really was about to take down that Ilken, but, you know, we need the story to progress, I guess, so Vernon has to stay alive, unfortunately. She, like, has this, like, very just, like, strong line of, they both kind of were quiet. I want Erewhon to know that the next time he sends you after me like a pack of dogs, I'll return the favor. I want Erewhon to know that the next time I see him, I will carve Manon's name on his goddamn heart. But it seems like tonight isn't really your night. And she kills the last Ilken that, like, remains there. So, like, one flies away with Vernon, and then there's one that's injured, I guess, downed in some manner. I don't remember how, but she just, like, she kills him.
Yeah, she says because it only takes one to deliver a message, and your companions are already on their way. Debating. Lorcan immediately is like, I'm gonna go kill the innkeeper now. Gotta go. Mm-hmm. She's like, there's been enough death, please. Just, let's leave.
Can we just go? I wrote, Death Daddy Lorcan scooped her up. She says to him, he told me that you'd left. And Lorcan looks at her and says, and you believed him? I'm dead. Why is Lorcan my favorite? I have a problem.
You don't have a problem. It's a good problem to have if it is a problem.
I will not be attracted to toxic men.
Oh my god.
That's a quote from Fourth Wing.
Lorcan's definitely in the category. He is the category.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
They get back to their boat, and Lorcan does not put her down right away. He just holds her the whole time. Like, you are going to stay right against me. Like, you're not going anywhere.
Ugh.
Out of my sight now.
And he like questions her. Like, not questions her, but like he asks her about the stuff that like they were talking about, basically. Like, asks her about Manon, asks her about Kaltain, and she shows him the word key.
He also asked her and said, you wouldn't have stopped that dagger into her heart, which I was just like, eh.
He like confirms it with her that like she would have done it. He's like, she doesn't say anything, but he knows. And she tells him about Manon. She tells him about Kaltain and who she was, and that the thing that she's been hiding from him is this
thing that
is the stone.
Had.
And
she doesn't exactly know what it is. Yeah.
Right. Like she like has the stone and she knows it's the powerful stone. And then she
tells him how it was in Kaltain as well. Like Erewhon had put it in her arm, and before she died, she like ripped it out and gave it to her and said, like, here's a cloak, and rub it, here you go. Which is
and like
great.
Tells her she tells him about like that it was the kindness that Selena had given her. Like that's what the shred of the cloak was. And And he tells her to put it away and that they'll like get her cleaned up. And he'll tell her what he knows. And he says, I made a promise to protect you. I will not break it, Elide. I will always find you. I promise. Elide, in her mind, is like, we have 2 word keys. Aelin is looking for the other. Or Aelin has one of the word keys.
Mm-hmm.
And they have another one of the word keys. So now they know where 2 of them are.
only has one.
Erewhon has one. Yeah.
Correct. It was up for debate. We didn't know if he had 2 or not. Well, I guess technically, or... Well...
No, he had 2. Well, we don't know where the third one is. We think he had 2.
We think
he says
2.
at one time that he has 2 and that she has the last one. He 100% could be lying. It's highly likely that he is lying. But we know that he at least had the one because Kaltain has it. And we know that Aelin has the other. Don't know where the last one is, technically. Not confirmed, at least.
Yeah, they killed off the... I was going to say the other option was one was put into... Who was that? The kid. But he dies, so never mind. Because it was Kaltain and Dorian's cousin that went at the same time. So I was like, the 2 options of like, if they put one in Kaltain, like maybe they also saw him as being very powerful and put one in him. But then I was like, nah, he dies. Because of, I don't remember when, but he dies. So that was forever ago at this point. This is when Lorcan gives her all the information about like word keys, the word gate, like the purpose of these things. He alludes to the stone being kind of powerful too. So like now Elide knows a bit more and has more reason to want to give this stone to Aelin. I'm surprised Lorcan didn't try to take it, but the second she opened it, he was like, get that shit away from me. So like,
it's because he likes her now.
Well, he's liked her this whole time. He was refusing to say anything about it.
She says back to him, I will always find you too, Lorcan.
And then she kisses him on the cheek.
She kisses him on the cheek. And then she falls asleep. And then when she wakes up, there are strips of linen next to her bed from his shirt that he cleaned and ripped up because they didn't have time to get products for her.
Lorcan had promised she'd likely have a black eye, but her head was clear. She came up beside him, watching him push the pole against the mucky bottom of the river. I killed those things. You did a fine job of it, he said. I don't regret it. Dark, depthless eyes slid to her. Good. She didn't know why she said it, why she felt a need or like it was worth anything to him at all, but Elide stood on her toes, kissed his stubble, rough cheek, and said, I will always find you too, Lorcan. She felt him staring at her even when she climbed into bed minutes later. When she awoke, clean strips of linen for her cycle were next to the bed, his own shirt washed and dried overnight, now cut up for her to use as she would. I love him so much. It's a problem. We are with Rowan and the group on the boat again, and we left them with Rowan just noticing that a village off the coast of Ilwe was burning, or on the coast of Ilwe was burning. And so he flies back to the group and is like, hey guys, fire is happening. So their goal is to put out these fires. So they spend 3 days of them going across the coast of Aelin channeling either her like water power, I'm not really sure, but they're pretty much suffocating the fires. Rowan's using his wind air situation, and Aelin is either using water or her ability to manipulate fire to like pull it out of that area. There were whispers of like ghosts. They're trying to figure out like what caused this. They didn't know if it was Maeve, if it was Erewhon, like what the deal was. But the little bit of information they get from the like villagers is that fire just started raining down on them. So they get the idea that like it was like arrows with like fire tips, and like they didn't know until they were hitting like their houses that it was coming.
But there is propaganda afoot.
Of course. Those
Someone is
rumors
spreading
then
rumors.
start to change, and they get whispers that it's Aelin that's setting these fires, even though she's fucking breaking her back trying to put them out. Why would she put them out if she started them? Not great. The rumor is that Aelin Galathinius herself was burning Eelway for vengeance that they had not aided her kingdom 10 years ago. Which we know isn't true. She would never hurt Eelway because she owes Nehemia her life. Like, she feels like she's life debted to Nehemia and Eelway, and to protect it. And it's her friend, so there's a lot there. That little tidbit makes me mad.
Whoever is like actually burning them, whether it's Erewhon or Maeve, is like obviously also trying to make it seem like it's her.
Yeah.
Because it's the
Has
easiest
fire.
way that they can get the whole group, the whole North, to like be against her.
Yeah, there is no sign of Maeve or Erewhon, though, in the vicinity. Like, Rowan has flown, like, further out to see, like, at the head of these things. I think Lysandra also does the same. Like, pretty much they're scouting out, too, to try to figure out, like, if they get even any, like, whisper of either of them existing.
Yeah.
There's
we
just
get the information that she's not pregnant, which we had talked about, but this is the time when she actually gets that information.
I wrote, no, she's not carrying his child, in quotes, which is the line inside the book of Aelin saying it, and I wrote in all caps, thank fucking Christ, Sarah, I'm still mad at you. Because I am. And I probably will be, even at the end of this, because I'm still mad about the ACOTAR one, so I will be mad forever.
Manon is with them, and she doesn't know what they're looking for, but she does decide to go with them to the Stone Marshes. Unfortunately...
Well, Aelin pretty much says, you're coming with us.
Yeah, but I still think Manon...
She agrees.
Is like, yeah, right, fine. They do say that the Wyvern has to go. So they, like, send... I don't actually... It's the right decision to make.
Yes.
I don't like it. It makes me sad. But they have to send Abraxos off for his protection.
Yeah. They are entering
like
an area that is... Yeah. It's marshland, which is very flat and doesn't have much cover. And Abraxos is a very large wyvern. He's the smallest of his wyvern kind. But he's still a very large wyvern. And will be able to be picked out if seen on just, like, the plains of the Stone Marshes. So she tells him to fly off and stay safe and lie low somewhere. He, of course, huffs at her. This, I want to just read the dynamic between them because I love it so much, if that is perfectly okay. A warm, sorrowful huff into her palm. Don't whine about it, Manon said, even as something twisted and roiled in her belly. Stay out of sight, keep alert, and come back in 4 days' time. She allowed herself to lean forward, resting her brow against his snout. His growl rumbled her bones. We've been a pair, you and I. A few days is nothing, my friend. He nudged her head with his own. Manon swallowed hard. You saved my life many times. I never thanked you for it. Abraxos let out a low whine. You and me, she promised him, from now until the darkness claims us. She made herself pull away, made herself stroke his snout just once more, then backed up a step, then another. Go. He didn't move. She bared her iron teeth. Go. Abraxos gave her a look full of reproach, but his body tensed, wings lifting. And Manon decided she had never hated anyone more than she hated the Queen of Terrasen and her friends, for making him leave, for causing this parting, when so many dangers had not been able to cleave them. Ugh. I'm so sad.
She lets Abraxos go. She thinks about Astrid. She thinks about Rhiannon. Girl's been going through it for so many chapters. She's been going through it almost dying, and then she's been going through it.
Then her only partner has to be like, see ya.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. It's not good. I wrote, no, I'm sobbing.
She ends up thinking about her half-sister because it's the cloak that she wears. And she tears her cloak up and takes just one piece of it, takes a ribbon and ties it into her hair and then throws the rest of the cloak away. Which I love as a symbol of changing the fact that she was forced to wear that cloak by her grandmother for so long as a look at what you accomplished. And she tears it away and weaves it into her hair instead as a remembrance of her half sister. So cute.
Yeah, it feels very similar to Sartak and them, how they have the ribbons that go along with people who have passed. It feels very reminiscent of that kind of act of,
yeah,
this is no longer of I overtook something. They're very much a part of me.
And she finds Dorian and Aelin and walks up to them knowing that they saw what she did. And Aelin just says quietly, "You never stop seeing their faces. It was only when they were rowing for the shore, spindrift soaking them, that Manon realized the queen hadn't meant the 13. And Manon wondered if Aelin too had watched that cloak floating out to sea and thought it looked like spilled blood." They're all so sad.
They're the same. The two of them are so similar.
Yeah.
In that they had to go through this part of their life that was just filled with killing. And even when Aelin stopped being Selena and came to the realization, the whole time she was there, she was I killed when I needed, and when I didn't need to, I threatened people to leave so that I didn't have to kill them. Kind of thing. So yeah, there's just I can't wait till Manon and Aelin are side by side, hand in hand, fucking
Don't
shit
worry,
up.
you gotta read Tower of Dawn chapters first.
That's fine. I will at least have this to look forward to. Once I get through this, I will have Aelin and Manon fucking
Hooray!
shit up, which is all I want.
The whole dream team. Now it's really the dream team, because now we have Manon and Abraxos as part of the dream team. It's fucking so sick.
More Abraxos. It's so good.
That's it. That's this episode, guys. That's a lot of shit. Also, Ilwe is burning, which is terrible. So sad. God damn it.
I feel like it's, I don't know, it feels like Erewhon, it feels like it could be Maeve just trying to maybe she's trying to gain allies so she can, I don't know, be the center of attention, because Maeve likes to be the center of attention.
Yep. We've got the last two possible members of the dream team making their way to Ilwe quickly. Lorcan and Elide. I
can't wait until that conversation happens.
I just can't wait for Elide and Aelin. That's gonna make me cry.
It's gonna be Elide, Aelin, and Manon. Aelin's gonna be... I feel like Aelin's gonna try to get to Elide, and Manon's gonna be fuck off. get out of here. She's mine.
Yeah. She's both of
So
theirs.
good. Yeah. That's gonna be so
and then
good.
Lorcan's just gonna be there
He's gonna be
trying
like, no,
his
she's
best
mine.
not to get killed. Honestly. Because not only are Fenris and Gabriel gonna want to kill him, Aelin wants to kill him, Manon's definitely gonna want to kill him.
Well, I feel like Manon might not, just
No,
because
Manon's gonna want to kill him because he's gonna do the same thing that you just said, which is he's gonna have some fucking be like, nah, she's mine, and Manon's like, excuse me? Sir? No.
If I have to
Definitely
share her
not
with
yours.
Aelin, I'm definitely not sharing with you.
Yeah. You are not worthy. Please step off.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. But next episode, we will have Tower of Dawn chapters again. This was our big chunk of Empire of Storms. So next episode is we basically go back to the regular back and forth of Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms.
I'm excited to learn more about Kale getting his feeling back in his feet.
Yeah,
Left
I'm not
off with
gonna
him.
lie. We're definitely gonna need to recap, at least for me, at the beginning of the next episode, because I don't
He can
remember
move
what's
his
going
feet.
on.
That's where we got
Hooray!
to.
He was being an asshole
Mm,
at some point.
well, yes.
He did some shit.
But at the end, he wasn't.
Did
At
we
the end, it was
resolve the
like-
shit? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
Yeah, they were running off to get more information from the library or something. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll figure it out at the beginning of next episode.
My brain is so deep into Fourth Wing at the moment.
I know.
I've forgotten.
We're both slightly distracted. Thanks for checking out the episode. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and you can find us on the Smut Peddlers, at the Smut Peddlers on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for additional content. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.